Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3, test. All right. Thank you for joining me. My name is Jaquab Ben Israel. Welcome to my channel. Tuesday and Friday at this time, I do live. And thank you for joining me. This is a channel for brethren, for faithists, brethren who can subscribe to the OAHSPE Bible, the newest revelation from the Creator. And before I begin, allow me to go before the Creator and ask for the video that the Creator will use it and that it will help to spread the light and to encourage brethren. So, Joey, thank you for this opportunity. And I ask for the Ashars to strengthen me, to make me able to speak and to share and to encourage and to redeem the time. Redeem the time. Jovi, I ask for insight, ask for wisdom. And I just ask that if there are any brethren or sisters who are listening to the video, that they would be blessed by the things that are said and that it will help them in their journey. So, Jovi, thank you for this opportunity. And I ask that we are in the world, and it is a very dangerous situation going on right now. There's a lot of turmoil, and you have revealed that there are storms on the horizon. And I just ask for faith that you give us wisdom, that we would be given instruction in how to deal with the things that are soon to come on the earth. In your name, we give thanks, so let it be. All right, brethren, again, thank you for joining me. My name is Jaquab Ben Israel, and welcome to my channel. And I got a lot to go through today, so I'm going to kind of try to speed it up. I'm not going to be able to get everything in that I want to, but I think you're going to really like what I have for you today. Excuse me. On the screen, I have a picture of the website that you can go to for ministry and information. It's called the Universal Faith Cosmin. You can contact them for ministry and for information and for resources. Here are some of the ministries that they have. They got a Saturday meditation. You call that number. They got a healing basket every fourth Wednesday, or every they put Ford Wednesday. That should be fourth. It should be Ford, 4RD. They put Ford. Ford. That's funny. I never seen that. The fourth Wednesday of every month, they have a healing basket. And then on every Wednesday, first, second, and third Wednesday, we have conversation. We just get together. We talk. We talk about the OAHSPE. It's a chance for us to just get together, speak our own language. Okay. Now, here is what I call the Faithist Creed. It's not dogmatic. It's just trying to give you an idea of what we're all about. I like to read it. If you want, you can read along with me. It says, what is a faithist? It says, we have faith in the all-person, the collective wisdom that is without gender, although I like to refer to the Creator as Mother, Father. It says, as faithists, we live, and other brethren do that too. So, but they are trying to, I think, point to the mystery more than anything of the Creator. It says, as faithists, we live by and follow these guidelines inspired by the OAHSPE Bible and the work of John Newbrough. We understand that supremacy exists only in a weak and fearful mind. We strive to do good works in the Creator's name. We respect others' opinions with understanding and openness, as long as their opinions do not diminish the dignity or free will of anyone. We are willing to accept differences from others with no bias. We treat others and ourselves with love and forgiveness. We are kind through our actions and whole being. We give others the freedom we all deserve. It is easy to demand free will, but it is challenging to allow others to exercise their free will. We are able to admit our mistakes and take responsibility for our actions. With these guidelines in mind, it is easier to understand that the foundation of faithism is the study and pursuit of Amarath and Ahiba. Amarath means divine forgiveness. Ahiba means unconditional love. For faithists, the cultivation of Amarath and Ahiba are essential lessons on the path for soul growth. Many faithists adhere to a vegetarian or vegan diet to reduce suffering, but vegan vegetation does not give anyone supremacy. So, if you want to read a little history of the faithists, you can read this right here. But this is the website where you can get ministry and information. And by far, it's not the only one. There are other brethren who have information and resources, ministries. If you look at my comment, if you look in the comment section of my video, you can see the links to other brethren, faithist brethren who have ministries as well. You may like the flavor or the way they present the OAHSPE more than mine, which is okay. Everybody's got like their own what's a good word for taste as to, you know, how something is presented. So look in the comment section. I've got them listed there. I've been promoting Brother Robert Bear, his Thursday study, where the link to contact him is in the comment section. You send him an email, and when Thursday rolls around, then he sends out a link at 4 or 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock my time. And we get together for 40 minutes and we have a time of fellowship where we have a little discussion, and then we decide on what we want to pray on. We put our voices together and then we pray silently. And I truly, in my soul, believe that that is the wave of the future. We're going to learn to put our energy together and then to put it out in the universe through voice, through sound. I really firmly believe that is the way to go. The brother's link is in the comment section there, and you can get in touch with him that way. So it's a good way to redeem the time. And you don't want to be on the earth. I had a friend contact me the other day, someone I hadn't known since high school, and he contacted me, and he immediately began to tell me about all these health issues he was having. And basically it was like he left me with the impression like, man, you're on a cliff edge. You, brother, are on a cliff's edge, man. I mean, you're staring at eternity, man. You know, you're staring at eternity. And I firmly believe the Creator, he had him contact me so I could witness to him about the OAHSPE. And the same thing is true, I'm sure, for many brethren. Man, we got an opportunity. I know that many of us, you know, have physical afflictions. I think that's for a reason. Maybe you don't, but I do know one thing. I know that the time that we got is for a reason. That's to be taken advantage of. The time that we got, man, especially as faithists, is to take advantage of this time that we living in, meaning learn about the Creator, apply what we learn, and then just try to be the best light according to your inner light that you can be. And before I came on video today, it crossed my mind to share about people who overcome real adversity to accomplish their dreams or to eventually succeed in what it was that they were overcoming. And there are a lot of great stories out there. I decided not to share them because I got a lot to go over with in the video today. But people have gone through incredible. I mean, I always tell this. There's a couple of stories that I knew that I recall reading of people who have overcome and have done incredible things in order to achieve their what's a good word for success at some point in their life. You know, I like to talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger and how he used to be in the army, and he used to go AWOL and break the windows to the gym on off days in order to train. And I've heard stories about. I remember one was from my hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio, Ken Griffey Jr. and how he was a baseball player. He's a Hall of Famer, and he used to take 500 swings of the bat every night after school. Now, as someone who used to play baseball, believe me, that's almost out of this world. And he did that every night after high school. That takes dedication. It takes discipline. It takes willpower, man, to do something like that. And I just want to give you an idea of what some people had to go through on the earth in order to achieve limited fame and glory on the earth. In the Bible, it says that people on the earth, they do it for a crown that perishes. But matter of fact, I should where it says they do it for a perishing crown, but we for an eternal crown. King James Version. 1 Corinthians 9:25. And I think the reason why I'm sharing these things is because I fear that as a faithist that you can slack off, you can lose that edge. And I think that it's important that we realize that you're headed for something great, man. I mean, faithists are heading for an eternal crown, eternal crown. 1 Corinthians 9:25, and every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things, discipline, meaning. Now they do it, meaning the world, they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible crown. That's what we're at. That's what we are on the path to doing. And any little thing that you accomplish, not little thing, but when you accomplish something in life, usually you have to invest in it some type of way. You have to dedicate yourself, or, you have to put some effort into it, and what the Creator is laying before us is an incorruptible, eternal crown. That's the road that we are on. That is the road that we are on, man. And it involves long nights and days, and, it involves a lot of boredom. It involves a lot of routine. It involves a lot of willpower, man. Anything worth having is not easy. And I was thinking the future generations, we shouldn't think like, they're going to have it easier than us. They're going to have their own struggles. As the kingdom approaches, they're going to have things that they have to deal with too. We are just chosen to be the foundation. Ever since the 1860s, when this revelation came out, the Creator has been electing and enlightening people who are going to lay the foundation. That's you, faithists. And it's not easy, man, in the sense that we have to do battle with ourselves. We call to do battle with the self, ourself. And it's a very, it's a lot of times very lonely road that we got to walk. The Creator, we look at the world today, we see that people don't know how to, what's a good word for when you are examining someone, like for public office? The world doesn't have a real good way of sizing up whoever wants to get into office to rule over them. People don't know exactly how to do that, because what they really want to do is they want to know what's in a man's heart. And we have a system where you could get up there and just, talk a good game for a year, 6 months, and then you get into office for 2, 3, or 4 or 5 years, 6 years. And then it's not only until then that you find out that they turn around and they become a demon. They say they like the Bible says, they speak like a lamb, but what does it say? I saw he said he spoke, he had two horns like a lamb, but he had something like a dragon, meaning they show you one side of themselves, but then they don't bring out the other side. People, leaders, a lot of them, they hide their true intentions, is what I'm trying to say. They hide their true intentions. A lot of people do that in the interview. They show their best face, and then later on, the truth comes out as to whether or not you're a good worker. Creator, he do the same thing. He puts us on the red star. He puts us on the earth. It's our opportunity to get on the expressway to resurrection. And you can either take advantage of it or not. If you decide not to take advantage, seek the light, know the creator, that sort of thing, learn what the vortex is, go along with it. That's your decision. If you decide not to, like that commercial, pay me now or pay me later, not like the creator is vindictive and rooting against people, but that's just the way he set up this reality. That's just the way he set up this reality. So all of us have the opportunity to make the resurrection. We can do it. It's like we could do it the quick way, which is the earth, or we can go into the spirit where it could take long. It could take who knows how long, but the creator says that everyone is going to make the resurrection one way or another. Everyone's going to make it one way or another. The benefit that faithists have is that they're on the expressway. If I would say anything, man, I would say whatever you do, if you're not going to follow the light while you're on the earth, whatever you do, get out of worshiping the deity. Get out of worshiping a deity. If you're under a deity, the creator, the OAHSPE, that's like the one warning he gives you, man. That's like the one warning in the OAHSPE, the biggest one. The deception of deity worship. The Lord Jesus Christ, there is no, Muhammadism, Hinduism, Buddhism, where it points you to a man-made God. And that's the one thing, keep the good parts of any faith. Keep the good parts, but make sure that you are not under a deity. That's the only thing right there that I can see. Now, something interesting came to my mind that I really want to share with y'all. I hope y'all get a kick out of this. After the video last week, it came to my mind. It's like a spirit said to me, "Hey, Yaikwab, you want to see an interesting fact?" Hey, Yaikwab, you want to see an interesting little fact? Turn to Revelation. It was like the spirit said, "Hey, Yaikwab, turn to Revelation chapter 10. So I did. And then check this out. I thought it was pretty interesting. Faithists know that the creator, he used John Newbro to give us the OAHSPE. He used John Newbro to give us the OAHSPE. And then guess who gets the little book here in Revelation chapter 10? His name is John, Now, I know some brethren, they may say, "Oh man, that's just a coincidence." I just thought it was interesting. You know what I mean? That's why I love the metaphysical, what the creator is showing me through and reinterpreting the Bible, Revelation 10:8, 10:9. Revelation 10:8, it says, "The voice which I heard from heaven spake unto me again and said, Go take the little book which is open in the hand of the angel which standeth upon the sea," meaning the people, "and upon the earth," which is the institutions of the world. It says, "And I went to the angel," and this is John on the island of Patmos, "and said unto him, Give me the little book. And he said unto me, Take it, eat it up, and it shall be in thy belly bitter, but it shall be in thy mouth sweet as honey." And meaning the knowledge is going to be sweet of the OAHSPE. It's going to be like nothing we've ever had before. But the fact that the creator, now when it comes to spirituality, I can't say something's a coincidence. I just found it fascinating that John Newbro is the one who the Creator used to channel the OAHSPE through. And here in Revelation 10, it says to the Apostle John, he says to the angel, give me the little book, you know? And he said to me, take it, eat it up. But anyway, it's just a little bit. I just thought it was interesting. Now, like I said, I got a lot to share, man. I got a lot. I'm not going to be able to get through everything that I want to give to, that I want to speak on this video. So I'm going to move kind of fast. Now, there was also one other thing I wanted to share with real quick. I hope you. I was on something I posted. Let me see. I wanted to. From time to time, I go back and see what the things I posted for encouragement's sake. For encouragement's sake. Oh, here it is right here. I thought this was pretty interesting right here. It says, now, shoot, let me fix my screen. Now, check this out right here. I like to post every night from the OAHSPE. And this is something I posted a couple of days ago. It says a lesson for when you die. Now, that's one reason why I don't recommend this channel. I don't push this channel. You know what I mean? I don't be talking about subscribe and like and share the video. Not me. Because I talk a lot about the afterlife. I talk a lot about spiritual things. I talk a lot about life after death. And I personally don't like doing that to unwelcome ears. I don't like to do that. I do not like, I'd rather talk to people who we're of the same vibration. But I can't have it like that right now. I think that in the spiritual, that's when we get put together with our own kind, with our own people we resonate with. And so that's why I don't recommend this channel. And I don't, I don't push this channel. I don't want to, because of things like this right here. The subject, the title, the heading, people don't like to think about this stuff, They don't want you coming around talking about making a resurrection and did you know this about the afterlife and that and this and that, And I realize that I'm learning that lesson, man, that, I don't run around my tail wagging, trying to talk to anybody who I can about something you're thrilled and excited about. That part of me is It's dying in the sense that, what do they do in Revelation? They trim their lamps. The virgins, see now, they trim their lamps, man. They don't go pushing this stuff on people. In Revelation 25, I think, or 20, or wherever it is, the virgins, the bride, the bridegroom, the foolish virgins. It says the wise, they got up and they trimmed their lamps, man. You know what I mean? It could be another interpretation of that. That's mine. Now, real quick, because I got a lot to this is called a lesson for when you die. It says, so it began. Now, I was jumping in the middle of a context here, the Creator. But you'll get the point. He says, so it began in the ancient days when spirits of darkness returned to mortals. In the ancient days, when spirits begin to return to mortals on the earth, when people who have passed on began to return to earth to mortals, when spirits of darkness return to earth, return to mortals. Evidently, people, they can cross over and they could come back to the earth to influence mortals, us, the living. Evidently, it's a mystery to me. It says, in the ancient days when spirits of darkness returned to mortals, that they told them, so the spirits that have passed on, the bound spirits, keep in mind, these are bound spirits. They don't know the resurrection. They don't know the creator. All they know is they cross over, and what they see, they think that that's heaven. They're bound. It says when spirits of darkness return, he calls them spirits of darkness. They returned to mortals. That's us. That they told them heaven was like the earth. Hey man, don't worry about it. When you cross over, you're going into the same situation. It's just that you're going to be in the spirit now, and it won't be material. It won't be material. It's all spiritual. It's just like the earth. They told mortals that heaven was like the earth, with everlasting life for all animals as well as for man. Now the Creator says, do not turn away from such spirits. Do not turn away from such spirits, oh man, but learn from them. So when you also become a spirit, when you die, you do not linger in my bound heaven. So this is a correction to see. We got a picture here. A spirit crossed over. They came back. They told mortals, hey man, the heavens is just like the earth. It reminds me of a story. There was a basketball player, real famous, named Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, real famous, really great basketball player. Matter of fact, that reminds me of what I was saying earlier. He used to make incredible sacrifices to be great. I used to use his story a lot. He used to get up at 5 a.m, go to the gym and shoot basketballs in the dark. That's the dedication level with some people. Faith, you're just saying we're called to do the same thing, only greater. We're called to endure the earth. We're called to hold that light, man. Hold that light. Hold it. Hold the light in your vessel. Hold it. So anyway, Kobe Bryant, he came back to a teammate of his. The teammate's name was Lamar Odom. Lamar Odom. After Kobe died, he came back. Lamar Odom said he appeared to him and told him heaven is not all it's cracked up to be. So, matter of fact, here, let me show you the quote yourself. You might find this interesting. I'm starting to get behind. Kobe Bryant appeared to Lamar Odom after death. Lamar Odom has shared that Kobe Bryant appeared to him in a vivid dream after his death, stating that, look at what he said. The afterlife is not what people make it up to be. Kobe Bryant was a Catholic. The day he died, that morning, he went to a Catholic service. It said Odom described this as multiple comforting but strange encounters, which have encouraged him to focus on his personal life and goals. And here he tells the dream. He talks about Kobe Bryant reappearing, telling him the afterlife is not all it's cracked up to be. But for someone who does not make the resurrection, if you are under a deity, that's why I was saying earlier, if anything the OAHSPE warns about, is whatever you do, man. Even if you're a great guy, you do everything right. Do not come under a deity at this time when we've been given. The Creator has given us the warning ever since the 1880s and shown us, warned us. And I think, I don't know, how the mysteries of the afterlife, how, because before now, I'm sure there had to be, maybe there was another criteria for the way the creator populated the heavens, the different realms. And, not everybody had the OAHSPE, the knowledge. But I have to think that the creator is merciful, he's fair, his justice is impeccable, and that before us, there was another way. And there's that however people are situated, and when they go into their spirit, that is fair, whatever it is. We have the benefit of being warned. So anyway, that was that. He came back and told him that the afterlife is not all that it was supposed to be. I just thought that was interesting, and so it is really amazing how, in Revelation 10, the book is given to a person named John, Anyway, I hope you like that. I thought it was interesting. And that verse in the OAHSPE, the creator is warning, oh man, but learn from them, these spirits who come back talking about, hey, heaven is just like, it's just like life, it's like, and it's almost like the senses, the spirit is coming back and telling the mortal, that it's just like where you are right now. Everything's the same, and the spirit is a dark spirit. It's a darkened spirit. And the creator says, oh man, don't turn away from such spirits. It's like, learn a lesson, oh man, but learn from them. So when you also become a spirit, you do not linger in my bound heavens. So see, that's another thing. When you read the OAHSPE, the creator, he says that his purpose is he said he keeps death before men. He said he keeps it before men. So you don't forget, man. That's one powerful thing about the red star, is to make you forget, to do whatever it can to tie you to the earth. Okay, now that's enough of that. It's the bottom of the hour. Let's do the study, because I got a lot, man. I'm not going to be able to get through all of it before the end of the video. I'm not going to be able to get to all of it. So let's get busy. The name of the video is, all right, what's so glorious about making what? So what? What's the big deal, man? What is the big deal, man? Bear with me 1 second. What's the big deal? What's so glorious about the second resurrection, making the resurrection? What's so great about it, man? I don't hear nobody talking about it. It must not be no thing. So what's the big deal, man? I don't care nothing about that. What's the big deal, man? What's so glorious about making the resurrection? I haven't heard about it. Ain't nobody talking about it. So what's so glorious about making the resurrection? Now, making the resurrection is to be in a state of constant ascending, starting from now to when we go into our spirit, we keep on ascension, glory to glory, like the Bible calls it. Faith is believing that. It's a mystery. I believe it. I believe that The here and the now is not all there is. I don't think this is all there is. I think that there's a purpose to us being here. The Creator tells us what that purpose is. It sounds pretty good to me, man. You know, right now, right now, things are kind of bitter, man. You got to deal with the body. You got to deal with the unbelief around you. You got to deal with the fact that we're on the earth. We have to live under corruption. We have to live under the Uzians. I haven't spoken about the geopolitical situation in the world. I haven't spoken yet, probably at the end of the video, that I must warn you, brethren, there's a storm approaching. There's a serious storm approaching, a serious storm. And we certainly going to feel it. We going to feel it, which reminds me to remind you, brethren, of a ministry in the comment section of my video. Brethren, if there's a brother or sister who listen to this video, you're faithless and you struggling, you need charity, I got a link where you can contact me. You can talk to me. You can explain it to me, and I will keep you incognito, and I will seek the help you need, man. From you, brethren, right here on this, looking at you other faithists, I'm coming to you. I'm letting you know right now, if some brother or sister approach me, if I can't take care of it myself, I'm letting you know I'm coming to you. And even if I can't take care of it myself, if I hear of a situation, I'll come. Just for the simple fact that we can all pitch in and be a community, because that's what we're going to be. We're called to be a community, man, where the world is supposed to at some point see that, hey, wait a minute, man, them faithists there, they take care of their own. They not all wrapped up in materialism and corporality. You know, they're not wrapped up in just seeing to, just, looking to serve themselves. We're supposed to be, we're the ones that are going to be a light to the world. And so I'm telling you, I'm a firm believer, man. If somebody hear this video and you need charity, I got a link right there where you can contact me. And if it's such that I should bring it before the brethren, better let me know, man, and I'll keep you incognito. So, what's so glorious about making a resurrection? According to OAHSPE, making a resurrection, which means advancing spiritually from lower to higher grades, meaning heavens, both while alive and after death, is glorious, because it aligns with Jehovah's divine plan of endless progress, joy, light. Mark that word, joy. Joy. That alone is enough to want to make the resurrection. Joy, man. Joy. Joy. Joy, 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 man. That one word alone is enough to grab me. That one word alone, joy, joy. I'll give my whole life for joy. When every day is better than the one before, you're around good people, high grade people. People, they got good attitudes, man. They're Ethereans, man. They got what's a good word for fleshly attributes, They don't get upset. They don't hold grudges. They're not touchy, where you have to watch what you say. You got to watch what you do. They always a great joy to be around. People who you could tell, man, from the heart, they enjoy your company, This is what the Creator says making the resurrection is. Endless progress, joy, light, and ultimate union with the Creator's creations. Ultimate union, man. It transforms the soul from bondage to earthly desires and darkness into freedom, wisdom, power, and delight. Delight. Everything the world is looking for, man. That's everything what we just read. Making the resurrection. It transforms the soul from bondage to earthly desires. Right now, that's where we are. A lot of, the earth offers a lot of opportunity to bind your soul to the earth. To bind your soul to the earth. The earth, one of the purposes is to teach you to overcome yourself, our desire to serve ourself. Me first, me. That's bondage to the earth, and to turn to you, me desiring to serve you. Because in doing that, that is where my joy and delight, what's a good word for, comes from. Making a resurrection, it transforms the soul from bondage to earthly desires and darkness into freedom, wisdom, power, delight, and exalted realms. Exalted realms. Core glory of resurrection. Jehovah and the heavenly hosts describe it as part of the Creator's magnificent ongoing work. Making the resurrection is transition to delightful higher realms. In my hand is the spirit of the dead, and I raise it up to the delightful places I created for it. It's a quote from the OAHSPE. He says, yea, it shall find its love and rejoice in my arms because of the glory of my heavens. Death itself serves resurrection, turning loss into ascent. And I want to stop and share something with you, brethren, something that I think we should all do. Something we should all do, man. I was in the Thursday study, and I'm at a point of observing now, praying that the spirit of those brethren rubs off on me, because these are like high grade brethren, man. High grade brethren. Just beautiful, high, they are certainly a picture of the Ethereans to me, just joyful, lively. I'm nearly afraid of these brethren, man. They're just beautiful, beautiful, man. And we had a brother in there Thursday. He said he wanted to pray for his mom for her progress in the spirit lands. He said, let's pray for my mom. Now, I would have said, let's pray for anybody, any brother whose loved ones. But I understood his prayer request. He said, I'd like to pray for my mom and her progress in the spirit lands. And I just thought that was just out of sight, man, And I say that to you, brethren, that's a good idea. That is a good idea, man, for our loved ones who have passed on. We should make that prayer, man, for our loved ones who have passed on, for their progress in the spirit world, for their progress in the spirit lands where they are right now, for their progress in the spirit lands. I just thought that was out of sight, man. It says here, death itself serves resurrection. If you've ever read that book, Pistis Sophia, chapter 28, there's a famous verse in there, Pistis Sophia, chapter 28, where Mary, she was inquiring about those who were lost, what she calls those who were lost. It's in that book called Pistis Sophia, right? And the Jesus in the Pistis Sophia, I say the Jesus because the jury is still out on how to interpret him. The brethren, they said that there were two of them. And so the jury is still out on me so far as how to interpret the Jesus of the New Testament. But I do know that he was created from a deity and that he served a deity. That I know, but he was a picture of what the creator is and what he's not. I remember a sister used to say, and I think that's a good description. He's a picture of what the creator is and what he is not. In the Jesus example, we see that which is righteous and that which is not righteous. So anyway, Mary as the Jesus in Pistis Sophia about what about those who have gone into she described the loss as being in the mouth of the dragon, meaning they crossed over. They showed no enlightenment. They showed no, faith and whatever you want to, She says she understood them to have gone into the mouth of the dragon. Pistis Sophia, chapter 28. And the Jesus says, if you want to, he says something like, if you want to redeem them or something like that, he said, pray for them, that they are taken out of the mouth of the dragon. And they will be, is something to that effect. I just thought of it right now, or else I would pull up the account and read it to you. It's in Pistis Sophia. It's in chapter 28. It probably is not online because I think that book, if I'm not mistaken, it costed like a lot of money, man. A lot of money. I used to have it, but I had a lot of expensive books, and I basically I don't want to say threw them away. I just, I forget what I just gave them away, or I put them on, I just got rid of them, which, the Colburn Bible and Pistis Sophia, the Keys of Enoch, and I just could only feel them a little bit, only a little bit, man. And the OAHSPE just blew them away. But the Jesus of the Pistis Sophia said, pray for them, that they are delivered from the mouth of the dragon. If you think they're lost, pray for them. And they will be brought out of the mouth of the dragon and placed in the way of resurrection. Pray for them. And that's what that brother did. We prayed for his mom, And I thought that was a great idea, man. A great idea for Faithus. It says endless progress. So what is so glorious about making a resurrection? What's so glorious about making a resurrection? Endless progress and knowledge. Endless progress and knowledge. We live in a world, people love knowledge. People love knowledge. And there are some people in the world who have a gift for originality, who serve the false gods. And a lot of people are trapped that way because they take originality for truth, in the sense that it's like it has its own anointing on it. Originality. There are people who have the gift of thinking things that makes a person say, wow, people love knowledge. People love knowledge. False gods know they must give man. I'm not against knowledge. I'm just saying that Bible, faith, spiritual reality, false gods, they know they must give man a degree of knowledge before they get his attention. The Creator says, making the resurrection It's endless progress and now it's endless, man. You know, there's an account. I read something in the OAHSPE where the angel says something, or where, no, wait a minute, it was in Radiance Anthology. And the angel said to the mortal, the angel said, come, man, come on. What do you want to do? Do you want to see the crescent of what did the angel say it was? He was asking the spirit, what do you want, man? Do you want to see these do you want to see this mystery? The crescent of the Ethereum, or do you want to read it said two other things, man. I mean, like glorious things. It said, do you want to read about how to make a house or something? It was like, what do you want? What do you want here? Anything you want, man. Endless progress and knowledge, man. So what's so glorious about making a resurrection? Endless progress and knowledge. Resurrection means rising from the chaotic desire bound, because the flesh is never satisfied. It's never satisfied, man. The flesh. Resurrection means you rise from the chaotic desire bound first resurrection, which is the near earth, often disorganized and tied to earthly things, into the orderly, disciplined second resurrection and higher Ethereal heavens. This brings wisdom, purity, strength, self-mastery, and companionship with advanced angels, gods, and goddesses. It is the path to becoming a co-creator in Jehovah's vast, shining dominions. That's what's so good about making a resurrection, about taking faithism seriously while you on the earth, man. While you on the earth, man. That's one of the good things about what's so glorious. Joy, harmony, and good works. What's so glorious about the second resurrection? What's so glorious about making the second resurrection? Joy, harmony, and good works. Instead of mourning or clinging to the corporeal, one learns to rejoice with discretion in the glory of my creations. It involves service, raising up others, my little ones, practicing non-resistance, purity, and brotherhood, which mirrors Jehovah's love and leads to personal exaltation. Angels from higher resurrections minister joyfully to those on this path. What's so glorious about making a resurrection? What is so glorious about making a second resurrection? What's so glorious about it? About making a resurrection? Escape from hellish bondage. Escape from hellish bondage, man. Escape from hellish bondage. Without resurrection, souls remain entangled in druges, low spirits, earthly passions, and lower heavens describe pyramidally. What does that word mean? Without resurrection, souls remain entangled in druges, which are low spirits, earthly passions, and lower heavens describe pyramidally. What does that word mean? Pyramidally. I think that's like, it won't give me the definition. It must have something to do with like layers, realms, describe pyramidally, broad base of undeveloped spirits, sparse, higher levels. It says, making the resurrection frees one from this, preventing stagnation or descent, and opens access to sublimated spheres of light. So what's so glorious about making a resurrection? Escape from hellish bondage. Making a resurrection, it frees one from this, preventing stagnation or descent, and opens access to sublimated spheres of light. In the Cosmic era context, for scattered faithists today, resurrection is practical and personal. Living by direct faith in Jehovah, hearing the Creator's voice. I don't know how to do that yet. I think I'm making progress, but man, that's what I want to do. I want to tap into my inner light. I want to do that more than anything, man. I think it may be happening because the Creator's, his voice is silence. I think it's more influence than anything. Hearing the Creator's, I think that you can't hear the Creator's voice until after you've heard it. Hearing the Creator's voice while alive. It is not about numbers or earthly victory, but becoming a glory unto me and my kingdoms. Those who organize in communities for this purpose escape the first resurrection at death and enter higher ones directly. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't think that's true. I think we all go to the first resurrection, but we avoid the denser regions, faithists. I think one of the benefits for faithists is that they avoid the dense regions of the first resurrection, and that they speedily make the second resurrection. I don't think this is, it could be worded better, I think. Okay, so in summary, it says OAHSPE portrays the whole cosmic system, earth, heaven, cycles of light and darkness as designed for this glorious, never-ending ascent. Jehovah delights in it. Their ultimate resurrection is my glory and my delight. It fulfills the purpose of creation, capacity for knowledge, power, dominion, and joyful participation in the endless creations which are provided to perish not forever. In short, glory lies in liberation, joy, eternal growth. Think about it. A thought just comes to my mind. As much as I hated school, man, there was some fulfillment in going from one grade to the next. There was some sense of satisfaction. Now think of it spiritually. The earth, the earth is a glorious place, man. It is a glorious place. Where I live is absolutely beautiful, man. This part of Arizona is just stunning. Beautiful, man. Absolutely beautiful. And the Creator calls this the darkest region that faithists will have to deal with. The earth, the red star, man. He says this is, if you've seen that map in OAHSPE, it shows a picture of the earth, and the earth is like colored in with black ink. And then the heavens get a little lighter as they rise, as they go from the first and the second, and then the third, and it gets lighter with each realm, each level. And the earth is absolutely stunning, man. I mean, when I was in California, if you ever get a chance to go to the Sierras, I think they call it, or is it the Sierras? Yeah. You go up that hill as you go to Reno. What's that called? What do they call it? I forget. It's another world, man. It's God's country up there. It's God's country. I mean, there's some beautiful place. I don't have to tell you, you brethren already know. Where you are, I'm sure you can say the same thing. You can say the same thing about where you live. And the Creator, He says, the earth is the darkest place. It's the densest place. So what are some details about the second resurrection? In OAHSPE, the second resurrection refers to a higher stage of spiritual development and organization in the afterlife, and achievable to some degree while still living. It is distinct from the first resurrection. It marks a key transition toward order, selflessness, wisdom, and alignment with Jehovah, the Creator. First resurrection versus the second resurrection. First resurrection, most souls enter this immediately after death. It is the initial spirit realm, atmosphere near the earth. It's often disorganized and tied to earthly habits, desires, individualism, marriage, begetting concerns, flattery, and lower pursuits. Many spirits here remain unlearned, are attached to earthly things, and inspire similar conditions on earth. Angels in this stage are not yet fully organized for higher righteousness. The second resurrection is a more advanced, organized stage. Souls or living mortals, through spiritual discipline, rise above selfish aspirations and earthly bonds. It emphasizes unity, good works for others, self-abnegation, forsaking self-glory, harmony, direct connection to higher light. This is where angels become angels of Jehovah, are angels of God, working in structured kingdoms for collective elevation. In other words, this is what becoming a spirit is. Becoming a spirit. Making the resurrection is becoming a spirit. Becoming a spirit. Becoming a enlightened, high-raised spirit. We become spirits when we cross over. Key details of the second resurrection. Requirements, qualities. Requirements and qualities for making the second resurrection. Renunciation of lower associations and conditions. Focus on interpreting and working without rigid formulas. Giving joy to others. Laboring for the vulnerable, my little ones. Purity, brotherhood, and faith in the all one, Jehovah. Now, I want to revisit this for just 1 second, because a couple of videos ago, I did a video on the brother who has an orphanage. And my main point was, there was a verse I read where it says, there are many who are helpful, and I have to paraphrase it, good to others, but you are unprofitable to yourself. In other words, I was trying to make the point that your actions speak, your actions are governed by your your grade. Or no, wait a minute. Let me put that another way. If you are full of good works and you engage in the things of that something a person of low grade might do, it nullifies your works. You know, you do a lot of good in the world. Now the brother has the orphanage, and that's a great work, man. That's pretty powerful. But if you are given to the fruits of a low grade, you know what I mean? I think what I'm trying to say that when you're talking about the creator, it's just as important how you deal with other people than what you do. I think the creator, what you do is according to what you, if you're a good person, then you're going to be good on the inside and out. But if you exhibit fruits of the lower nature, then a low grade can prevent you from making the resurrection. A low grade, if you have a pattern of what's a good word for your actions towards others? You know what I mean? Then a low grade can prevent you from making the resurrection. So your actions can outweigh your works. And I think I read that. I think I posted something to that effect on that very same video about how your interactions with people, how it plays a major role in what our grade is, and how it can lower, if you lower someone else's grade based on how you treat them, then you lower yours as well. And it can keep you from making a resurrection despite all the good that you do. I say that in reference to that brother who has this orphanage. And once in this world we live in, when you show somebody, they see you do a bunch of good works, it just kind of puts their discernment, it just kind of, what's a good word for, it dissolves their ability to discern. And that's, like the Bible says, man looks at the outside, and God looks at the heart. So I just feel it's important to say that we've been taught the outside is more important than the inside. Renunciation of lower associations and conditions. Focus on interpreting and working without rigid formulas. These are requirements for the second resurrection. Giving joy to others, laboring for the vulnerable, my little ones. Purity, brotherhood, and faith in the all one. It requires rising above subjective, earthbound states to more objective communion with higher heavens. In the afterlife, when enough souls in the first resurrection advance, they migrate to higher heavenly kingdoms, Horrid, under God. These are structured realms in atmosphere or beyond, preparing for even higher third resurrections into ethereal worlds. Gods and lords oversee this progression as part of cosmic cycles. Key details of the second resurrection. While on the earth for faithists, mortals can enter this state through trance, direct communion with Jehovah, and living the principles of good works, non-resistance, self-mastery. It allows objective inspiration from higher kingdoms. Joby says, as the second can commune with the spirits of the first resurrection, so can faithists commune with the Father through the second resurrection. You know what I mean? Who wouldn't want to commune with the Father, man? This knowledge becomes impregnable. That must mean something like amazing, outstanding, and glorious, and incredible, and purpose and glory. Key requirements for making key details of the second resurrection is purpose and glory. Check out that word, glory. You know what I mean? Glory, purpose, and glory. The Creator says faithists are headed for glory. Glory. Who doesn't love that? Glory. The world, earlier, I was saying what some people on the earth, they do for glory. For glory, to receive, even if it's temporary glory. People on the earth, they will do incredible things. Purpose and glory. Even in the book of Revelation, the Jesus Christ of mentioned there, he says that he talks about to those that overcome, walking with him in white, for they are worthy. You know, I don't know exactly what that means, walking with him in white. I think white symbolizes like purity, but it's also like a glorious thing. Purpose and glory. Key detail of the second resurrection. It teaches the all perfection of being one with another. It teaches the all perfect. It teaches. Oh, shoot, I erased it. All perfection of being one with another, strength of spirit, and preparation. Let's see if I can get this off the screen. Oh, shoot. Oh, forget it. And preparation for higher Ethereal realms. It inspires the same elevated conditions on earth, emancipated governments, communities of light, unlike the first. So, talking about the second resurrection, it inspires elevated conditions on earth, emancipated governments, the communities of light, unlike the first. It moves away from self aspiration toward collective joy in Jehovah's kingdoms. Okay, so like a summary of the details of the second resurrection, a little summary. It says OAHSPE describes layered heavens, first, second, third, and higher, with the second resurrection as a pivotal bridge from the earthly chaos to divine order and endless progress. In the cosmic era, this is accessible directly to individuals without old intermediaries. The text stresses it is not about rigid dogma, but living fruits, good works, and inner light. For full context, read the Book of Judgment, Chapter 3, Book of Discipline, Book of Knowledge, and so on and so forth. Book of ES, if you like details, and so on. All right, so that's the study for that. On the second resurrection, what are more details about the second resurrection? What's so glorious about making the resurrection? Okay, so now I think I want to bring up the study that we did on Wednesday. The study that we did on Wednesday, we're looking at the tree of life. And it was fantastic, man. It was fantastic. And I'll just share this. Wait, let me fix my screen. Let's see. How do I do this? The major thing that I got out of this study, let's do this first. Let's get this fixed. The major thing I got out of this study was how older faithists have more of a macro view of faith, of faith, of spirituality. One of the biggest differences that I've seen between older Christians and older faithists is older faithists, their wisdom is I mean, I don't want to put anyone down, but their macro view is much greater than that of Christians. Now, let me see if I can make this bigger. This is a study we did on Wednesday night. If you go to the beginning of the video, the link that I shared, the Cosmin, the Faithist, Universal Faithist of Cosmin. Every Wednesday we have this study, first, second, and third Wednesday. And this is the study we did. And it was just fantastic, man. The big thing that I got out of this study is the outlook of the more mature faithists, brethren who have been faithists for like years, man, you know. And one of the things they brought out, the way they looked at the earth, the way they grade the earth is whether the light is advancing or stagnating. Now, it's subject to interpretation. You know what I mean? It's subject to interpretation in each of our minds. But I thought it was super profound because this study here, he gets into the tree of life. The tree of life is, in my own understanding, it's been here from creation, and it seems to have trouble being established on the earth. The tree of life. It seems to have trouble being established in the earth. It seems like it gets planted and then it gets cut down. You know, the different gods, they come. The man, he gets to a point and then he begins to show a little growth and then he regresses. The tree of life, which is the tree of progress, it gets stagnated, it gets killed off. The inspiration for it, it gets replanted. You know, that's the OAHSPE in a nutshell. In other words, when you read the OAHSPE, it's the constant struggle to establish the kingdom. From what I understand, we had to get to a point where we were ready. I mean, you know, the overall picture of the OAHSPE is, you could picture it as like our life. You know, we start out, you know, babes, children, we become children, you know, and we're growing. And then the Ark of Bond came, and the Creator, he gave light givers, you know, and then they established morality and pointed to the Creator, the Ark of Bond. And since then, it's been the struggle between the false gods and the righteous gods and angels. The tree of life, at this particular time in the cosmic era, is going to take root and is going to succeed. The tree of life, the kingdom on earth, the progress, the realization of what the Creator has always meant men to be. Mature in spirituality, in corporeality, combining the physical with the spiritual. And this study right here, it 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 basically is goes into detail about how we have gotten to where we are now. Brother Harkins, he put it together, and Brother Kendall. So a lot of you brethren are missing out, man, on the Wednesday study. We need knowledge so that we can build our foundation. We need knowledge, man. We need to get this type of knowledge so to help to strengthen our foundation. And who knows, man, I read earlier where the Creator, he said that angels were going to speak face to face with Faithus. Eventually, angels are going to speak face to face. And I only mention that because we're approaching, I can't help but it's always in my mind, brethren, to speak about what we are facing. We don't really feel it right now. I'm telling you right now, there is a storm coming, man. It is a storm. I'm telling you. I can't emphasize it enough. And I think that we're going to need to know what to do. I think that we're approaching a time that I don't know how to describe. I don't know what the Creator is going to, how we're going to, what road that he's going to take us down, what we're going to be called to do. I think that I just hope we're ready. I hope that the prayer is going out not to avoid what's coming, but to have the wisdom to deal with it. I think that we're supposed to ask for wisdom to go through and deal with the AG that's coming on the earth. I think that that's the prayer that we're supposed to be making right now. I don't think that there's much of I hope I'm wrong, man, but I don't think that there's much of a sensitivity to what's coming. I don't think there's enough conversation about it. At least I haven't heard it, uh, in faith communities. I kind of feel like faith is, it's almost as if we believe we're not supposed to look at these things, talk about these things, and I don't quite understand. I think that the things that are happening is one way or another to help us to learn something and to, anyway, let me read a little bit of this study. Hopefully it'll help somebody encourage, give greater understanding about our time, our what the Creator's plan for our lives and what he has brought us through, where we are now and the future. It's called a time of maturity in relation to the time of Cosmin, emerging out of rankness. Okay. Then there's a short review by Dr. Kendall. Now, let me see. Let me bear with me a second here. I'm going to do something and try so I can make this screen bigger. I'm going to paste this in another app here so that I can make this bigger or easier to see. All right, now let's see if I can make this work. Okay, so just bear with me, brother. I'm doing something on the run here. Doing it on the run. Okay, now just bear with me. I'm trying to get it to where it's bigger. Okay, great, good enough. We got it. Okay, so this is the study that we did on Wednesday night, and I mean, these are some high-powered brethren who have been faithlists for years, man. You know, and a lot of you brethren are missing out, man, because we need this is good understanding to help us to empower us about spiritual realities and the depth of the OAHSPE and what is on a macro level, what is teaching you, what is showing us. Now, let me do one more thing and make sure that it's showing up on the screen. Okay, yeah, we got it on the screen. All righty. So let me go ahead and read and then just offer a comment here and there. It says, now here's Dr. Kendall's short review of Brother Pete Harkins' essay. It says several themes throughout this essay support Peter's rankness thesis. Now, rankness means odious, undesirable, foul, smelling, a repugnant environment and moral disorder. We begin with the thesis of rankness. This account will differ from what it might seem at first. Although the OAHSPE emphasizes the interrelationship between mortals and angels and the seen and the unseen, the very nature of rankness goes deeper. Peter explains that there is a correlation between rankness and darkness in a planet's earliest stages. That's a good point right there. There's a difference between rankness and darkness, even as it prepares for mortal life. We must never forget that the creator is the master of designs. In this case, darkness is that stratagem that functions as the birthing chamber of life. As all infants, when in the womb, live and grow in darkness, darkness becomes the womb of all life. Life, such as plants and produce, must emerge from the darkness of the soil. That's a good principle. We're here earth. And if you look in OAHSPE as the densest, darkest region that faithists will go through. And so it also describes our reality as we're in the embryo right now. Right now, we're in the embryo. Sunshine and blue skies and everything. The Creator says we have not even been born yet, and we're in the embryo. And even more miraculously, he says we have a chance to make ourselves, it's like we have a chance to equip our spirit. It says, and even the rankness of one's depth must rise out of the dark nights of one's soul so that the light and life can freely live in joy of Jehovah on earth. It says, Peter weaves a tapestry timeline that explains life just before the soul is given the gift of everlasting life in the higher heavens. He shows that it is no easy matter to navigate the inhabitants of earth from the season of Cephas to the season of Cosmin. Free will, AG, wars against Jehovah, false gods, and their own man-made hells fill the time of eternity that beings on a habitable planet. I didn't read that right. It says false gods in their own made hells fill the time of eternity that begins. It begins on a habitable planet. Therefore, we follow Peter's discourse, which shows the central relationship between Asu, manifested Etherians, and the Ihen. Critical junctions arise that impede progress, thereby extending life, and one of the most salient points is the sinking of Pan under Etherian Af. Peter explains how we are still living physically in the aftermath of the rankness and darkness that led Jehovah to push this continent beneath the floor of the Pacific Ocean to save future generations so they can inherit the higher heavens. How do you like that? The brother postulates that we are still living from the effects of that civilization of Pan. It reminds me of a study that shows that trauma can pass through 6 generations. Trauma, something that's unseen, but it can go on in the vibration of succeeding generations. The brother here is saying that we're still suffering from the continent of Pan, otherwise known as Waga. A sister mentioned that Japan were was the mountainous, the higher elevation of the continent of Pan. Japan was the higher elevation. I mean, Japan, was the highest elevation of the continent that was eventually sunk, a whole continent. And the only remnant remaining is Japan. He continues talking about Peter's essay on the rankness of the earth, the maturity in a time of maturity in relation to the time of cosmos emerging out of rankness. He continues to show how the rankness of fallen lords, gods, goddesses, angels darkens the tree of life. The tree of life in this case is the living spiritual system that represents the growth of the soul, the progression of humanity, the establishment of divine order in Jehovah's name on earth, and the interconnection between mortals and angels of the third resurrected heavens. At the same time, we must understand that the seeds of the tree of life must be replanted each cycle and arc. These seeds represent divine truth, righteous laws, inspired teachings, hence the arrival and importance of the lawgivers. At the beginning, so my mistake, the lawgivers at the beginning, not the arc of bond, but the cycle of Fragapati in the 22nd arc. The first arc was under the cycle of Siddhantis. The first arc in the season of Cephas, when the spirit and soul of Asu, pre-man and woman, were not capable of lasting life. So we see a progression, the Creator showing us. We go through cycles Siddhantis and the first man to the first arc in the season of Cephas, that which is established when the spirit and soul of Asu, pre-man and pre-woman, were not capable of lasting life. So it's like maybe we're 5 years old, meaning we're not able to, we're not able to what can't a 5-year-old do that a 13-year-old can do? You know what I mean? We're at that time in our creation from arc, from cycle Sadantes to the first arc, the season of Cephas, meaning consciously, we don't have the ability of, a 5-year-old. It's like, you know what I mean? A child, as the difference between a child and an adult. It says in many of Peter's talks and essays, he addresses the failures of mortals and angels alike. He notes that humanity lacked the necessary spiritual maturity earlier in the human journey. He explores how societies tend to be unstable and corrupt. So, see, when you read the OAHSPE, what the brother here is helping us to do, he's helping us to see a macro approach to the OAHSPE. When you reading it, you going from book to book, you seeing the progression of the tree of life. You seeing, okay, now he's gotten to this point. Okay, now he falls back. Now the next God has got to come pick up where the last God left off. So it's like he's got to cover old ground, and then he's got to raise him up another level. Then that, you know, he has another new, arc cycle, may have to start over again and bring him up to where he left off and further. And then that, it's the same cycle is what he's saying is the story of our progression to where we are right now, where we're mature enough spiritually. We've learned morality. We know about the spirit. We know there's an afterlife. And now we need to learn spirituality on a level where we can bring the kingdom onto the earth. We're not capable of doing that right now. We're not capable because you see what the fruit of hijack religion has given you. Right now, wars and fightings and nations, their only desire is conquest and putting your brother in bondage and making people work, or they can't survive. They gotta, we're not capable of the kingdom right now. And so we're at a time, we're in the cosmic era where now the seeds are being planted. That's faithist. And we might not think that we are not making an impact, but we are, because we're scattered and we don't seem that it don't seem like anybody wants to go with us. But this is according to the Creator's plan. We are having an effect. We are seeds, and our influence is spreading whether we like it or not. For faithists, he says in many of Peter's talks and essays, he addresses the failures of mortals and angels alike. He notes that humanity lacked necessary spiritual maturity earlier in the human journey. He explores how societies tend to be unstable and corrupt, unable to hold the light for any length of time. See, that's another interesting thing here. Like I was saying earlier, brethren, hold that light. You, brethren, were chosen to hold that light, man. This knowledge that we have, the things the Creator is calling us to do, to fight ourselves, to try to learn to serve to put on a mind of taking off the self to serve your brethren, to be ready to be selfless. And, that's part of holding the light, man. The Creator in his wisdom, he chooses you, brethren. Other people may look and say, are you kidding? That brother there was chosen of the Creator? But look at him. He's an idiot, man. How could, look, look at him. There ain't nothing, they look at the outside. But the Creator, he looks on the heart, and he done chosen you, brethren, to take this light, the light of this knowledge, and hold it. All right? Hold it, man. You cannot put old wine into new wineskins. You have to put new wine into new wineskins. See, in this era, the tree of life is going to take hold this time. It ain't going to be cut down again. The progress to eventual kingdom on the earth now is different. It's different. The tree of life is going to take root now. It's not going to be cut down again. The progress, the light, the knowledge of the light. He says, at various points in human history, we read and hear the power of the tetrarchs, the lower vibration, displace the will and presence of the Great Spirit. The tetrarchs, those lower attitudes, toxic attitudes, the things, the lust, the greed, the anger, the fighting, the war, the tetrarchs. The tetrarchs, man. It reminds me of what I was saying earlier. The tetrarchs, the Creator, our great mission for Faithist is to overcome the tetrarchs. If I'm a brother and I'm cussing you out, I talk down to you, I'm putting you down, that's going against the vortex. And if you do that to other brethren, you're going against the vortex. You cannot succeed. It's like trying to fight the Pacific Ocean, man. The tetrarchs from ancient times till now have always killed the tree of life, man. It's all the tetrarchs within us, man. The Satan within us. It kills the tree of life, man. It kills it. It's always killed it, man. At various points in human history, man, we read and hear that the power of the tetrarchs displaced the will and presence of the Great Spirit. It's in the world today. People are more inclined to be negative towards you than to be positive, to point out your mistakes before they'll compliment you or encourage you. That's the world, man. Have you ever noticed that? I remember that more than anything doing ministry. If it's one thing that ministry has taught me, people can't wait to jump in and criticize something you do. You very rarely hear someone rooting for you who may compliment you. Not to say, the Creator, He helps you not to care about that. Whether or not you as Faithists, we could care. We don't seek anybody's flattery. I like that about the Creator. But I know one thing about human nature is if you give someone the opportunity to point out something that you did wrong, and they never, they will do it. People love to jump on that about pointing, he did something. He said, they're a mistake. He said, they love that, man. But it's got to be that way because we need that so that we can develop an immunity to that. You know what I mean? As Faithists, when the world do that to us, we need that so that we can we can fight attitudes. When the Druges come along and they say, see, he said that, you're going to let him get away with that, man? That's our opportunity to just look the other way. Somebody does something to you, that's your opportunity right there. And then now you developing an immunity to it. And then that make the Druges go away. They say, oh man, it ain't no use, man. We tried to get him the other day, he was going outside and we dropped the plant. We dropped, when he opened the door, we made him hit his foot, he brushed it off, and then He went to get in his van and, a dog chased him, you know, and he brushed it off. So just leave him alone. You know, we need those things, really. It's helping you to kill the tetrarchs and to help plant the tree of life. That's helping you, you know, the the things that go against the vortex helps you to go along with the vortex, to go along with it. That's developing your immunity. The more opportunities you get to go with the flow, the vortex, instead of going against it, it's painful, at first, but it yielded the peaceable fruit of righteousness. You know, it says the inhabitants of earth, perhaps earth herself, simply were not yet ripe enough to embrace the divine principles of Jehovah. However, as Peter points out in his essay, the turning point came in the cycle of bond under Chief Ethereal Lika's reign, largely through the lawgivers of Moses of Africa and the Middle East, Capelia of India, and Chennai of China, who exemplified this momentous shift in consciousness. So you get the idea that before the Ark of Bond, up until then, men were basically, heavily under beast-like influences, unable to hold the light. And then the Creator, he gave us lawgivers, and they showed it, they lived it in front of our eyes. And it's like that example stuck, is what he's saying here. It says the tree of life is not a single institution. It is every act aligned with Jehovah's will. See that? It's every act, man, at the tree of life, So you can see how every day, there's things that happen that kill the tree of life in us. And then there are days where the tree of life is doing pretty good, The tree of life is not a single institution. You know how when you read the Bible, it talks about the tree of life and it makes it kind of like an entity. That's not true. The tree of life is, it's not just a single entity. The tree of life is not a single institution. It is every act aligned with Jehovah's will, every act, including harmony with nature, building just communities, working in accord with the higher inspiration, going against the vortex, man. There's a lot of nice people in the world. They seem to be going with the vortex, Only problem I've seen is deity worship, nice people, but deity worship, and will not and react violently to the light. There's probably more of those type of people in the world. It's a terrible shame. Nice people, deity worship, taken captive to a deity. That's the only thing, I think it's far better to be a righteous unbeliever, man. It's far better than to worship a deity. Without a shadow of a doubt, man. It's far better to be a righteous unbeliever, somebody going with the vortex, exemplifying characteristics of the fruits of the Spirit. 1 Corinthians 13 is far greater, man. The Creator says they are in a lot better shape, man, than somebody who's up under a deity. Up under a deity, man. A lot of nice people, man. Great people, man. The only problem is that deity. And the beast has taken the whole world captive. He's done it. I mean, the beast of the dragon of religion. Peter makes it clear that compared to a faithless worldview, the key distinction that our tree of life worldview differs from other traditions. For example, in the book of Genesis, which holds that so they covered it. I beat them. I got ahead of the study here. It says in the book of Genesis, which holds that a single object in a past paradise, it is not something humanity lost. Instead, for us as faithists, it is something humanity has been gradually building and becoming since the reign of the chief administrator Sedantes. The tree of life is the living, growing expression of divine order on earth, rooted in truth, sustained by righteous action, extending from the physical world to the highest heavens. So again, this study here, man, it helped you to have a macro. Now you can read the OAHSPE, and you can have a good foundation for how you understand it now. The context of the OAHSPE, among other things, is to show us our consciousness from then until now. You know, false gods, Trojan spirits, influencing men to chase vain glory, serve themselves. Then the advent of, Anuhaja and Louis Mong and other false gods, and they gave religion, and so men gravitated to that, and now here we are in the cosmic era where the fire is now being put out, but it's a very difficult time. We're in the beginning of the new era, and it's a difficult time, man. On a corporeal level, we're witnessing the United States doesn't want to give up its dominion. It's like a woman who doesn't want to, a jealous woman, or a jealous man who don't want the relationship to end. And then they feel like, if I can't have you, then no one can, or they just start destroying everything. That's the United States. That's because we're at the end of an era. And this is a nation that don't want to give up its power. And so I'm sorry, but brethren, I have to tell you, I have to let you know that the death of the dragon is not going to be pleasant. And what I mean by dragon, I mean religion. They don't want to give it up, man. They do not want just, let my people go. And they say, no, no, no. No, no, no. I love being worshiped. I love people coming to fear me. I love people, serving me. I love, and the Creator says, nope, I'm sorry. That time is over with. Let my people go. And false gods, they say, not without a fight. And so the Creator says, I'm telling you, you fate this on earth. The beast, the dragon, whatever you want to call them, they are not going to go down without a fight. They are not going to go down without a fight. And so I'm sorry to say that in our reality, we can already see the seeds of Uzians destroying themselves. And I just pray that the Creator, and I'm pretty sure he will, place Faithis under special protection. It says, now let's devote our attention to Peter's essay. The introduction. Since the creation of humankind from Asu, man who was originally incapable of attaining soul immortality or entering the unbound heavens, it has been approximately 78,177 years, is calculated through 2026. With the emergence of the Ihin people, produced through the intermingling of Etherian angels and Asu species. So we have the high-raised spirits. The Creator, he says, all right, go down to the earth, raise up man. High-raised spirits come along, they come to the earth, they see man. The Creator said, whatever you do, don't partake of the tree of life. Don't have sex with them. The angels come down. Some of the fallen angels come. They have sex with pre-man or whatever, first created man. And now you got the Ihins. okay, if I'm saying that correctly, where humanity then gained the potential for soul immortality because we were hooked up with the Ethereal angels. So in our union, they gave us a soul that could that could that could um that that be that was immortal, that is immortality, able to inherit immortality within higher celestial realms. This development goes back 72,177 years. The inception of ASU, man, was purely corporeal, physical, you know, and lacked the unbound spiritual capacity required to traverse the higher heavens of Etheria. Nevertheless, they were the foundation, yet they remained tethered to the earthly plane. So you got Asu, you got man on the earth. Has no spiritual capacity. The angels come, they come together in union and sex, and the soul is transferred. The Ethereal soul, the capacity for immortality is given to the let's see, what's a good word for the um physical corporeal man, the Asu man, the first creation. It says approximately 24,177 years have passed since the great continent of Waga, Pan, submerged. It says within this vast span of time, history unfolds in cyclical arcs, typically lasting about 3,000 years each. At the beginning of each cycle, referred to as a Haidang, a Dan, the Ethereal chief in charge established the conditions necessary for growth and development of both corporeal and spiritual, with your atmospheric beings, as well as for the earth itself. So now we got the union of angel and man. Now the stage is set so that man can constantly evolve. The tree of life, it was cut down with the association of Ethereal angels and the Asu man. The corruption got so great, the continent had to be sunk. The evil was so great, it had to be sunk. And from what I understand, there was a conference as to whether to let the earth go on. If I'm not mistaken, there was they got Serpenta Armage and had a conference, or she had to report back and go and survey the land, the mountains, the rivers, the waters, and everything. What's the grade? What's the condition? It's been so damaged, and is it worth letting it go on? That's how bad it got. It got really, it's like corruption. It knows no bounds, man. When it's like it don't just affect people, it affects the earth itself, man. The trees, the water, the grass, the atmosphere, everything. Serpenta Armage, she had to go back and she had to make a report to the high council there, and should we destroy the earth or what? Should we let it go on? And you can see that they let us go on because we're here, but it says approximately 24,177 years have passed since the great continent of Waga, Pan, submerged. Within this vast span of time, history unfolds in cyclical arcs, typically lasting about 3,000 years each. At the beginning of each cycle, referred to as a Haidang, a Dan, the Ethereal chief in charge established the condition necessary, corporeal, physical, as well as for the earth itself. So if you put it like in earthly terms, what it's saying here, it's like, okay, we sunk Pan, all right? Now, the cycles of time, it's like the tree of life, it got restarted. And with each cycle, man was going to be taught a new stair to climb, if you know what I mean, if that makes any sense. Like he had to learn, like living together in communities, he learning about cosmology, you know, learning about, the planets. And then he had to be taught like his symmetry was changed into beauty and the time of Apollo, and all these were conditions necessary for us to get to where we are right now, where we're mature spiritually and corporally. We're ready for the advent, the tree of life to take root, never to be uprooted again. Even though we have these problems in the earth, it says all such cycles have ultimately served as preparation for the present age, the era of cosmos. All right. The review of the timeline, the chronology of spiritual evolution adaptation. All right. So it says the history of the soul. The history of the soul. The history of the soul is not merely a linear progression of time, but a calculated series of biological and spiritual upgrades. Calculating back from our current position in 2026, we find three distinct markers of human development. Okay. Three distinct markers of human development. The era of Asu, all right, the inception of the Asu man, these beings were the foundation, yet they remain tethered to the earthly plane. Then you have the birth of the eye hens. This period marks the intersection of the divine and the physical through the mixing of Etherian angels and the Asu. The eye hen people were produced. This was a genetic and spiritual leap that granted humanity soul immortality, allowing the spirit to survive the death of the physical body and ascend to the celestial realms. There was the sinking of Pan. Remember, these are three distinct markers in the growth of mankind. Three distinct markers. Now we get to the submergence of Pan. The sinking of the continent of Waga, or Pan, it served as a reset for global civilization. It marks the end of the first great epoch of unified human experience and the beginning of fragmented tribal migrations that define the pre-modern world. Okay, so the creator, he sunk Pan. Now we start over again. Do it all over again, man, So now here we are, we're scattered all over the world, and then we begin our history in the world as fragmented the INs, tribal migrations, where we basically us going from east to west, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, the mechanics of time, arcs and Haldane. The creator designed the universe to operate and be managed through arcs of time. The major cycles lasting 3,000 years. At the start of each cycle, known as Haldane or Dan, an Etherian chief, a high-ranking spiritual authority, is appointed to oversee the Earth's atmosphere. An Etherian chief. These chiefs serve as divine architects, setting the stage for both corporeans, those in the flesh, and Essenes, those in the spirit. Their goal is to cultivate the environment necessary for the planet's soul harvest to unfold. Each 3,000-year arc was a deliberate step in a master plan, providing long-term preparation for the current era of cosmos, the age of ultimate spiritual integration and scientific understanding. All right, the rankness of the earth. The continent of Waga, Pan, was once the largest, most populous of all continents, serving as the epicenter of early civilization. Here, the god of or here the God, son of Jehovah, name is Sathantes, established his throne in heavenly dominion. All right. On the continent of Waka. Sathantes, his throne on the continent of Waka, his heavenly dominion. According to the book of Fragapati, son of Jehovah and OAHSPE, civilization was intended to spread from east to west in alignment with the Earth's rotation. Some passages suggest that in earlier times, Earth may have been more stationary before entering its ordained path through Etherian dominions. An evolutionary journey essential to both planetary and human development. Like right now, we're passing through Etherian worlds of all shapes and sizes for the shaping of our consciousness. And in these Etherian worlds, you got AG and Gia, and it has an effect. An interesting effect. AG, Gia, and depending on someone's spiritual grade, it either helps to elevate it or to cause someone to go into declension. It's like faith is no, not to feed the beast, man. Do not feed the beast. Meaning, like in the world, people usually end up getting into fights because somebody says something, and then the other person says something, and then they keep feeding each other's beast, and then they end up fighting, and probably one killing the other or both killing, And when AG falls, it's like it has the same effect. For Faithis, it increases their grade. They see it for what it is. They know how to go with the vortex, even in the face of AG, and it works in their favor. And then the world, it causes them to go more and more into their beast vibration. It causes more and more of a reaction. Etherian dominions. That's part of our evolutionary journey to both planetary and human development. We have to go through these things so that that's how you develop an immunity against something. You have to be exposed to it so that you can develop an immunity against it. If you always avoiding stuff, always trying to get around instead of going through, it don't strengthen your immunity. Now, it's easy to say, man, but when you're going through trials, it ain't easy, man. It's better for Faithis because we know there's some benefit in it for us, mainly to teach us not to go against the vortex and curse other brethren, and be mean and to be, to whatever, to respond in, you know what I mean, a favorable way, no matter what the circumstance is. However, it is not until the cycle of bond that Earth is said to have reached true maturity. Prior to that, it existed in a state described as rankness, as recorded in the book of Ben. Before the Ark of Bond, the Earth was rank. The seed of the tree of life had been planted many times, but the rankness destroyed it. In the time of Ark of Bond, the Earth reached maturity through Capelia, Moses, Chene, the tree of life made everlasting on the earth. Now, understanding rankness, it kept killing the tree of life. So what is it? The term rankness may be understood in several ways: a strong offensive odor, excessive or uncontrolled growth, excessive or uncontrolled growth, a moral condition marked by arrogance, pride, or defiance, rankness, the rankness of the earth. Applied to early Earth, rankness appears to encompass both physical and moral dimensions. Dr. Kendall notes that Peter offers a deeper dive into rankness in this section. Remember, rankness and darkness, two different things. Physically, the earth may have been overrun by unchecked natural growth, dense vegetation, environmental imbalance, and possibly noxious conditions that hindered stable development. Such excess could metaphorically strangle the tree of life before it could take root. Spiritually and socially, rankness manifested in human behavior. Spiritually and socially, rankness manifested in human behavior. Pride, defiance, moral disorder, humanity still in a comparatively early stage of development, engaged in practices that reflected a lower evolutionary or adaptive state, such as destructive unions and the creation of distorted forms of life, even monstrosities. All this occurred and during the 17th arc of Cephas. Meanwhile, a major shift in the shape of human bodies occurred during the cycle of Apollo. However, we will save this discourse for another day. We will now turn our attention to the continent of Pan and its fall from grace. So we see an imbalance taking effect in the development of the earth. We see some things that contributed spiritually and socially to human behavior. It's like the conditions of the earth somehow began to translate to human behavior. Okay. Is basically what he's saying here. The collapse of Pan and the crisis of rankness. So it gets so bad that now we have to, the creator has it makes a decision. He has to sink this continent. In the final days of Pan, rankness had spread so widely that the continent could no longer be sustained. Now imagine you just have a city, you live in it, and it's so bad crime-wise, you had to destroy the city. That's Pan in a nutshell. In the final days of Pan, rankness had spread so widely that the continent could no longer be sustained. The conditions had become so destructive that their submergence was deemed necessary to preserve Earth and humanity. Historical accounts suggest that populations from other continents migrated to Pan, further increasing its density and disorder. Meanwhile, the Ahin people, considered a more refined and spiritually advanced lineage, were either extinguished or absorbed into the broader population, diminishing some of their distinct qualities, but not all. Ironically, Pan was also a stronghold of the Ahin lineage. And from there, they were inspired to build vessels and migrate to other lands, preserving fragments of their legacy. So now the Ahins were overrun from migrations from other places to Pan, and it dissolved their numbers. Speeding up the eventual sinking of the continent. It got so bad. The migration of other peoples, the dissolving of the Ahins mixing with other continents. Environmental and Etherian conditions. It says descriptions of rankness also encompass the sensory and atmospheric conditions. It is suggested that both physical and spiritual environments were dense, heavy, and unpleasant, even offensive to refined Etherian beings. Now, you could look at the United States or the world today, man, and it seems like we're in the same situation. The same situation. I mean, it's a miracle that the Ethereans have decided not to sink the earth because of the corruption that's going on right now. So what was going on with WAGA, with Pan? It must have been some incredible corruption. It must have been pretty bad, man. If we as a people right now on the earth have not come under that type of judgment and all the things that we are doing right now with, especially with what's being done to children, bombings, killings, advancing killing technology. Descriptions of rankness also encompass sensory and atmospheric conditions. Sensory rankness also encompasses sensory and atmospheric conditions. So it's like the physical affects the corporean. If I'm not mistaken, it's like the physical has an effect on the spiritual, or maybe it's the other way around. Descriptions of rankness also encompass sensory rank. Physical and spiritual descriptions of rankness also encompass sensory and atmospheric conditions. It is environment. Oh, it switched up I did something and it switched up the paragraph. Shoot. Sometimes this machine likes to work against me, man. From this perspective, references to flying gear or protective garments in OAHSPE may denote environmental protection gear rather than space travel in a modern sense. Such clothing could have shielded higher beings from noxious gases, dense atmospheres, or energetic impurities, conditions also described in the lower realms or hells. This interpretation invites reflection on how varying degrees of refinement affect perception. Varying degrees of refinement affect perception. As beings evolve, sensitivity to the environment, vibration, and even odor may increase. Dr. Kendall notes that these points have not been considered by faithless writers in previous decades. Peter's insights expand one viewpoint on the order of rankness as it affects the natural environment. Rankness in human consciousness. Beyond physical conditions, rankness became embedded in human consciousness, particularly as the self-preservation took precedence over collective well-being. This mindset of self-elevation, rooted in earlier epochs such as Anuhaja's 2 periods and the false Osirian periods. Okay, I'm gonna stop right here because this requires some explaining, and it's about the end of the video. And this here, it requires some explaining, some stopping and explaining, and so it's probably a good place to just pick it up next time if I remember to do it. So what I'll do is go ahead and scroll it, and you can read the rest of it because I'll probably end up not doing the study. Probably end up forgetting and doing something else next week, or so I can scroll it. You can stop the video and you can read the rest of it. But one of the major things about this whole study right here that I think is important is that you can see the creator is the tree of life, which is progress, is development, and how it has to, when you read the OAHSPE and you read about the cycles of time, you see what happens when the efforts of the creator to make men progress, the things that come against it, the tetracts and the false gods and religion. And we're at that, up until now, those have been the things that kept killing the tree of life. introduction of the self to the self, to the self to serve the self, and how that helped to kill the tree of life. The um, the um, the tetracts, the introduction of the tetracts, the invitation to serve the self. So the main thing is that it's always been the will of the Creator to establish the tree of life, which is the kingdom on the earth. But it's been a process. We've had to grow in our consciousness. Things have had to happen to us physically. Things have had to happen, cosmologically, to bring us to this point in our understanding. So that the Creator, he said that we're at a period of time where we're going to have full knowledge of antiquity, of the past. We're going to have, that's one of the things that's going to help us to quit making the mistakes of the past. We're going to be able to look back. We're going to see the wars. We're going to see the rotten institutions. We're going to remember the plight of mankind. We're going to remember the homelessness. We're going to remember the crime. We're going to remember the prisons. We're going to remember the imbalance, the economic imbalance. The Creator said that one of the purposes of our past is so that when the time comes, like right now, we're in the Cosmic era. It's kind of like you say to yourself, man, I never, ever making that mistake ever again. We're going to see the futility of serving the beast, chasing the flesh, chasing, always every day is a struggle to feed the desires of the flesh, entertain the flesh, acquire more conquest. The Creator, it seems to be saying that we are going to have our fill of that before we realize that the best thing, that what we have always wanted, and the way to get there is we have to learn not to focus on our own desires and wishes and inspiration, but to learn to serve our brethren and be selfless, among other things. So it's like the new is really the old all over again, man. All over again. All right, so shoot, man. Time to close the video. And again, I want to, if anyone is seeing this video and you want to, first of all, if there's someone who hears this and you know someone who needs charity, and I'm emphasizing that again, man, because with the situation that we're in, brethren are going to start hurting. And again, man, I don't mean to be fear-mongering anyone, but we're in a situation where we don't really feel the economic pain that's coming on the earth. We got a situation in the Middle East. Even as I speak, it may have already picked up again to where bombs, war is going on, has picked up again. There was supposed to have been some ceasefire up till now. And the talk has been of some conflict, some minor conflicts going on that are going to blow wide open. And so even as I'm talking here, it may have already gone back to full-blown war where other, it may go, if it goes back to a situation where they are bombing and like they were doing before, there have been some threats made, some serious threats of escalation. The bottom line is that we're in a situation. If somebody hears this video and you need charity, I got a link in the comment section. And you can contact me and just explain the situation to me. I will, if need be, go or get on this channel here, and don't look at the fact that it's a very obscure channel. The creator is the deciding factor, and it doesn't take a really big following in order for the creator's will to be done. So I just want to stress that if anyone is in need of charity, there's the link in my comment section on the video. Also, the 6-volume set, you can contact me as well if you would like the 6-volume set to the OAHSPE, and there's also a link for a free OAHSPE. All right, so that's the best I can do for today. Brethren, thank you for joining me. Jehovah, thank you for this opportunity to try and share and to help to encourage my brethren. And I just ask that you give us wisdom for the current time that we're in, not that these times go away, but that we learn through the things that we have to go through in the present reality, that you help us to deal with the things that are going on. And again, thank you for the opportunity for this video. And I ask for my brethren, our encouragement and our endurance while we are here on the earth. And we give thanks and ask that we just have wisdom to redeem the time. And we thank you in your name. So let it be. Brethren, thank you for joining me Tuesdays and Fridays, 5 p.m. And until I see you again, peace be unto you. Shalom.